Hey everyone, this is Dr. Jennifer Gardella, your social media expert. Welcome to day 7. I am getting back into the groove after a quick move. We had to come up to Pittsburgh due to some exposure issues going on in our home back in Doylestown, but we are settled now in my daughter's apartment, and here we are back to talk about social media today. So this video is Social Media Explained. Now, as many of you know, I'm a social media expert. That's what I do. There I am. I help my clients build a significant digital foundation with tactical blogging and social media. I do this through meetings, providing monthly support through blogging and social. I also do a lot of trainings, and I was doing a lot of speaking engagements. So everything you want to find out about me can be, you can check out my website, jennifergardella.com. I always say on these videos, and anytime I have the chance, whatever you see that I have created out there for myself online, I want you to know that I've done it myself. Now, that's not patting myself on the back. It's actually to give you hope, because I know that there's so many of you out there that struggle with how to find the right information. So there's a ton of information out there that's available to help you. There's so much information being created right now on how to build a digital presence. If you have any questions at all, again, just go to my website, and in the top navigation bar, you can just click on book a call with Jen. So today we're going to do a basic dive into social media. I want you to really just understand the channels that are available, the different types of audiences that typically hang out on each channel. I want to give you the opportunity to let go of Facebook. Now, typically when I do this presentation, I tell people hands down, give up on Facebook. Your Facebook business page should be taken care of a little bit, but for the most part, it's not going to bring you in huge numbers of anything, except if you're advertising. Honestly, from what I'm watching going on these last few weeks now, I am seeing an uptick in Facebook traffic. Everyone's sitting at home, not really knowing what to do with themselves. So that's kind of a natural trend that we're seeing. Now, I also want to say that your social media posts should be planned, and we're going to go over editorial calendars a little bit, and should also be spur of the moment. You should be able and comfortable enough to share things on your social media accounts as they come up in the world. Now, there's a download today. It's located on the downloads page. You can click through the button next to this video and see it right there. There's 2 of them. There's a password keeper that I'm going to explain to you in a little bit, and then there's also an explanation on each of the social media channels. So let's just be clear on the goal of social media. The goal of social media has several aspects of reaching your ideal clients. That's what we're trying to do. We want to reach them where they hang out. So some people hang out on Twitter, some people hang out on Facebook, some people hang out on Google. We want to position you as an expert. We want them to know that if they're searching for you, your information will pop up and display in search results. And also, we want to position you top of mind so that while they don't need you now, they could use you in the future. And when they do need you, they already know what you do. And number 3, we want them to be driving traffic to your website. We want to get people to call. And most importantly, we want to create a conversation around your expertise. You just don't post on social media for the sake of posting. You want to make sure that it's just not garbage. There's enough garbage out there on the internet. We want to make sure that this is really top quality content that you're sharing out there, and that your people engage with it in some way. Okay, so this is a duplicate of the previous slide. I apologize, but I'm not stopping. Okay, so social media is a 3-part strategy, and that's all it is. Everybody gets all worked up about everything that's included in social media. There are 3 simple parts. The first is you've got to set up your profiles, you've got to connect those profiles with the right people, and then you actually have to be social. So we're going to run through the highlights in each of these areas, and then I'll be doing additional videos in each of these areas later on. Each of these areas has obviously several hundred steps to it, but again, you don't go to step 5 or 10 or 300 without taking step 1, which is just setting up, connecting with a few people, and then learning how to be social. Don't worry about all of the other things that you can be doing as they say, don't develop some master plan, start implementing now. And that's what I really want to help you do. So again, I do want you to let go of Facebook. There's going to be, my guess, in about a week, a lot of information is going to start coming out about how ads are doing in the Facebook ad platform, but there is a big difference, right? So you post something to your Facebook page and you may realize that your engagement is pretty low on it. Well, that's because Facebook is purposely not showing it to all of your fans or likes, people that liked your page, because they want you to advertise. So Facebook is not the end all and be all. I am seeing, like I said, an uptick in traffic to Facebook pages, but we have to really see what happens during this time. The trick is to have a very varied and a very strong, complete digital foundation. So I want to start with the password keeper. It's part of the download for today. It is one of the most ridiculous downloads I have ever offered. I hand this out all the time when I'm speaking, and a very good friend of mine once said to me that it was one of the most useful handouts she's ever received. I had to ask her why, and it was because she finally was able to put all of her passwords in one place. So many of us have passwords on the back of napkins or on Post-it notes or written on paper, and we don't know where they are. It's not very secure. So what I did was I developed the password keeper. Again, it's not particularly secure, but I wanted you to get a little bit organized. Once you're organized, I'd really like you to move your passwords all to a system called LastPass, which is great. But for right now, if you do nothing else, write them all down in the password keeper. I always tell a great story. I have a client, one of my first, and finding all the passwords for the law firm's account when we first started working together took almost 6 months. There were 2 Google My Businesses, there was a couple Twitter accounts, there was a couple of Facebooks. I just kept uncovering more and more stuff. Don't let that happen to you. Now, I want you to know the culture of each site, and this is on our handout as well. So LinkedIn is all business, right? It was started as a place for us to put our resumes, and it has grown into a wildly active social media site. Now, interestingly enough, what I'm also seeing is LinkedIn is experiencing, I don't want to say a slight drop in traffic, but LinkedIn was one of those great social media sites that was almost okay to be on when people were in the office. Now, people are not in the office anymore. So I'm guessing that people are gravitating to Facebook, but again, we don't know that yet because we haven't looked for the trends. Twitter is the cocktail party of the internet. Twitter is where a lot of hysterical stuff is on there, a lot of sports figures, a lot of celebrities are on Twitter. There's a lot of stats right now on Twitter that I follow every day that are phenomenal. Google My Business is it's not really a social media site, but it's so important that I talk about it all the time. I talk about Google My Business with SEO, with social media, because it plays a part in both. And the reason why it's important to talk about here is Google My Business is a site that you can post to, and since it's owned by Google, it will help you better rank in Google search. So Google My Business is critical. It's your maps listing. So if you have any questions about that, you can just let me know. And it was also in my video on SEO before. Facebook. Everybody's on Facebook, and I can tell you what's really funny that's going on, and I'm not going to name any names, but teenagers are getting back on Facebook. So what happened in the olden days is Facebook was one of the first social media sites to come around, and all the kids got on it, and then the parents followed the kids, and the kids went to Twitter, and then the kids went to Instagram. So now kids, I guess, are so bored with their social media that they're actually going back to Facebook, which is a riot. Instagram is a great social media site. There's a lot of parents on there. I find a lot of moms are on Instagram. There's a lot of marketers, a lot of bloggers, a lot of authors are on Instagram. The problem with trying to do Instagram is that it is heavily picture driven. So for every post that you have on Instagram, you need a picture to go with it. So the question is, where are you going to get your pictures? So we'll do more videos like this on Instagram coming up, but I just wanted to let you know that if you want an Instagram presence, you need the pictures to go along with it. Pinterest is awesome. Pinterest is, for those of us who grew up in the 80s, or 70s and 80s, I would say, we had cork boards filled with recipes and prom dresses and all sorts of things. And Pinterest is the digital version of those boards that we used to have all over our rooms. Pinterest does have an advertising platform. It gets very crowded I would say, in the space of Pinterest. It can be phenomenal for SEO. It is a huge search engine. What's interesting about Pinterest is that it is a place where people go when they are fact finding. So if your information is on Pinterest, I think that that is great, but it is a place where people are grabbing and collecting a lot of information, much more so than making buying decisions at that time. So just something to consider about Pinterest. Now, I want you to optimize each of your accounts. This is a great time for you to get headshots. Believe it or not, you can, here I'm behind a whiteboard, if that's all you got, or I'm sorry, a white wall. If that's all you got, there's an exposed brick wall in the living room where I'm staying. There's beautiful pictures to be taken outside. Get out there with your iPhone if you don't have a great picture. Unfortunately, I can't send you to one of the headshot people that I'm really good friends with, but it's good enough for now. Oh, sorry, I just kicked the plastic box I'm working off of. Again, trying to make all this work, right? So the logo, your logo, it's a good time if you don't have one to have it redone or make something quick for yourself on Canva to get you through. I want you to write your profiles really carefully. Your profiles should reflect your core practice areas. What is it that you do and who do you do it for? I don't want you to stuff keywords into any of those descriptions. It's really important that your content of your website and your social media profiles are written in such a way that it's like you talking naturally. What I do for my clients is we talk very naturally and we drop the keywords in. So if you need some help understanding that, I have videos on blogging and SEO at this point, but book a call and I'm happy to help you out with that. Each profile should be unique. We do not do any duplicate content across the web. Everything is written individually, and then we don't want any duplicate content whatsoever. So the content that or bio that you have on one site is not then the content or bio that you have on another. Okay, so everyone always asks, like, what do I do? So I want you to have a plan. Every time, in your schedule every day, I want you to have a day when you work on your social media, maybe just after lunch, when you first get to the office. I find that the best times to post are about 10 and 3, and then again at about 8. So you could plan your schedule around that. It's going to take you some time to find your groove. You absolutely need a plan to build and connect to others. So as I have shared before, I have a ridiculous goal of getting to 10,000 connections on LinkedIn during this quarantine time that we're all going through. It's a vanity metric, doesn't mean I'm good at what I do, doesn't mean my business will start building. I've just always wanted 10,000 connections on LinkedIn, so it's great. It takes a lot of time to do that, so plan it into your calendar. And then also plan into your editorial calendar, make space for social media posts. What are the themes that you can be including? What are the other things that you can be doing at this time to share great information? So I always use the Valentine's Day example. February 14th is not the day to realize or to try to start sharing information about Valentine's Day. You need to do that several weeks in advance. So that's really important to plan that in. So how do you find connections? You see, you set up your accounts and they have to be connected. And the hardest part about connecting is how do you find other people? So here's kind of a plan for the 3 big ones that I think you're probably going to be focusing on. LinkedIn, all business connections, and there are tons of people that you can connect to. First of all, my LinkedIn profile is at the end of this presentation. Please always feel free to connect with me. I can't tell you how many people are nervous to connect with others and they send me a connection request as one of their first, and I'm always willing to do that for people. You can get in some trouble with LinkedIn. They, at a certain point every day, if you try to connect to too many people, they do cut you off from connections. And I will say that your first goal, if you're building your LinkedIn connections, is to get to 500. That seems to be the magical number, 500. So you get to 500, your network, really does expand. Facebook, if you want to make your business presence bigger on Facebook for your Facebook business page, you can ask friends to like your page. That's a very easy thing to do on Facebook. You can pay for them in an advertising campaign. Just be careful when you're setting it up. That's probably a great way to get connections or likes to your Facebook page. Just again, make sure that you know what you're doing, because you can burn a lot of money in Facebook very, very quickly. And then with Twitter. So with Twitter, you want to get connections by finding people who tweet about what you tweet about. So you want to search on a hashtag, or again, you can run a Twitter campaign to get some new Twitter followers. And you can find some great people to connect with on Twitter, honestly. So I want you to also share great information. So the whole idea, and I don't know where I got this from, it was years and years ago at a networking event. Your point of social media is to educate, entertain, and inform. Especially in today's world, you have a golden opportunity to be connecting with people and sharing information that they really need. So share a variety of information, share funny stuff. I know that in the world of social media, if you saw it, there was the janitor of the Cowboy Museum was given the Twitter account, and he had no idea what he was doing. So he actually did the hashtag sign and then the word hashtag. He thought that's how he was supposed to use hashtags. It was a riot. And I shared it. And believe it or not, it got a lot of likes because it was kind of funny. 50% of the content that you share should be yours, and 50% of the content that you share should be the content of others. I can share with you now that you can even change that. 3 days a week, share content from your website, like your blog, and then 2 days a week, share content from other sites. And I have great ways and can help you out with getting organized and how to do that. You can also share some of the content that you're writing about in your editorial calendar. So your editorial calendar is based on research, it's based on ideas, it's based on keywords, and all of that information can help you then build up your social media content and what you're sharing. So what to share? Well, you're going to share all of the content that you create, all your blogs, all your videos, the pictures. In fact, if you put a picture up on Instagram on, let's say, Monday, you could certainly share that on LinkedIn on Friday. Just obviously make sure that the post that goes along with each is written appropriately. What does that mean? Well, on LinkedIn, you would use 2 to 3 hashtags. And then on Instagram, you would use, let's say, 10 to 12. So just be very, very, very cautious. Never auto post the same thing out. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you can share your website articles. You can share quotes that you found. You can even share links to your newsletter. Those are all great ideas. So since the goal is to stay top of mind with your connections, I want you to publish some LinkedIn long posts. That is a phenomenal thing to do, because then you can send those right in the LinkedIn platform to your connections. You can set personal invites. So you can send personal invites on all of the social media channels. And I will share now, and don't tell your children because they will hate me, but all of the social media networking sites, including Snapchat, including TikTok, I can include all of those under the social media sites that our children are on. All of them have private messaging. So make sure that you're checking those for you and your business, but also make sure to have conversations with your kids about what they're doing out there. It's a little public service announcement for you. But send personal invites, set up phone calls. I want you to include others in your post, and I can teach you how to do that as well. You want to share the content of really important people. So if there's a connection that you have that maybe is a influencer, or a connection that you have is a power partner of yours, you can keep them engaged with your social media and also promote their content and ask them questions. I'm going to stop here and just say that one of the worst things that I see on social media is I share let's just say I share a blog post, and they come back and they write in the comments, "Thank you." So when someone shares a blog post of mine, I not only thank them, like, "Hey, thanks for sharing," but then I'll also say, maybe I'll ask a question, or I'll encourage their users to engage with me, because that's the whole point. Just saying thank you, I think, really doesn't do it justice, because this person has given you space on their social media account. So I think that's huge. And then I want you to comment and tweet and retweet and like and do all those other things on social media that there are to do. Now, the competition of others. You can't just share your own content. You've got to share the content of others. And this looks like other people's blog posts, or their pictures, or share their images on Instagram in your story. I'm doing a lot of that now. My story on Facebook and my story on Instagram, I'm sharing a lot of the funny stuff that I'm seeing come out, because I think that's what people really need to see. So you don't want to sound like an advertisement, right? So you want to share related content. So I am a social media consultant for small business owners. I often share the content of bigger magazines, Entrepreneur, Inc. I might share stuff from QuickBooks. it's related to me. It's not what I do. They're not a competitor. And then how do you find related content? Well, I actually have a slide about this in a little bit. So, oh, here it is. Where to find content. You can tell I've done these slides a lot and I thought I had them in the right order or I knew what the order was, but now I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? Okay, so how to find content. So first of all, news articles related to your core mission. So what I want you to do is, and this is number 4 on the list, go into Google Alerts and set up a news alert with Google so they will send you articles as they appear on the internet. Now you can do this in digest form. I suggest doing it on a weekly basis in digest form, and they'll just send you a list in your email. It's fantastic. Huffington Post is a great place to start. BuzzFeed, Google Alerts already mentioned. Pocket is a great resource. It's an app that sits on your phone. Pocket also where you can save articles that you read and then you can decide what you're doing later. Buffer has that also. But in Pocket will actually send you an email with articles that they have found on the web that may be interesting to you. Partner organizations, so if you, like I said, power partners, networking organizations, if they're publishing content, then you can share that as well. And Buffer does have this ability for you to share content of others and find content, which is really the name of the game. It's finding all that content. Okay, so social media posts in general, it's not just about what you want them to know, it's about what they need. So it's how your expertise relates to their problem. You can be brilliant at what you do, but if you can't relate it to your ideal client and what they need at that time, you're sunk. So make sure you know the culture of each platform, the etiquette, and also the pain points of your clients. And then engaging users, you really need to add value. Sometimes we post on social media to make sure that the Facebook page, let's say, looks cared for and is continually updated. Other times we post on social media to add value to those that we're trying to reach. So what are those pain points again? What's the culture and the etiquette? And here's the big one. If you know that your competitor is getting a lot of traction with their social media, it really shouldn't be that hard to figure out what they're doing. So I actually all the time recommend that you stalk your competitors for ideas. So when should you post? Everybody always asks this. When should you post? It depends. I have had a lot of success, like I said. People start at work at about 8 or 9, they take a break at 10, then we usually, they go back to work for a little bit, they have lunch, get back to work, then they take a break around 3, so 3 is a great time to post. Another great time to post is around 8 o'clock at night as people are winding down. Now, we don't really know what's going to be going on when we start to see the data of how people are interacting with social media, given that they're all now working from home. But I would say that those are pretty fair benchmarks. Like I wouldn't expect a tweet at noon right now to do very well because people are having lunch and they're having lunch with other people that they live with. So they're not sitting at their desks anymore at the office. They're actually interacting with people in their house. And then how often should you post? Well, that depends as well. So I always say your goal is to post 5 times a week. Sorry, I know I just gave some of you a heart attack. 5 times a week to each of the social media sites. So when my clients have full contracts with me, they are blogging 4 times a month and they are putting out 20 social media posts per week. Now I have lots of tips and tricks and I'll be sharing those in later videos. It seems like a lot now. Here's what your job is. Just do it once, right? Get used to posting. Get over that initial fear. So the steps to take that right now, set up and optimize your accounts, all of them or just one, it's up to you. I want you to secure your passwords, start connecting with other people, and over the next couple of days, share a couple pieces of content. That's it. Just get started. Okay, so connect with me. I am here to help you through this time. My website is jennifergardella.com. You can reach me at Jennifer at the Gardella Group. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. Book a call with me. I already mentioned that. So go to my website all the way to the right-hand side, book a call with me if you have any questions at all, and that's it. Look, I finally was able to put my website and my email address in there, and I shouldn't even say I was able to, I just finally did it because I kept forgetting to. Okay, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Download the pages that go with this, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.